Our great friends in the trenches, Ipet Isut, whose email is ipetpotolo@gmail.com, shared some important information involving David Icke. He had been referred to in one of our videos shown below. Let us share a founding principle of Marfado Chem. We do not seek out, approve, embrace, or openly teach African mysteries to non-totemized people, melanin recessive people, or those who do not reverence our ancestors and our divinities, or those who follow pagan belief systems. They will not be initiated or see the inner sanctums of our temples. We only cite their facts and use their scholarly contributions because it is their ancestors who stole our knowledge and destroyed our civilization. We are on our own. Red light. My religion is Hamitics. Ubuntu Maati consciousness is my spirituality. I am a Hamitician. The title of our discussion is Red Light. Many researchers are biased. They suffer from cognitive bias. We must never trust any scholar, even our own. We must ask, who is the scholar representing? Who is this scholar directing me to honor and respect? Why is he or she, the scholar, teaching, writing, or lecturing? Is it for money, for fame, or love of Ubuntu? Can I verify everything that he has taught using my own independent primary research, or use peer-reviewed sources? And last but not least, ask your ancestors and let the divinities confirm. So with all that, let us look at what the Ipet Isut Africa Institute did with David Icke's bias. So they wrote a letter to him concerning what he had said in the book, The Children of the Matrix. The letter, as you can see shown here, I will read part of it, says, this letter is in reply to your book, Children of the Matrix, on page 124 thereof, and therein your statement that if you have any information you think will help David Icke in his research, please write to or email him, and the email address is given on the backflip of the book. And then he had stated something in this book that Ipet Isut found very interesting. This is what he wrote on page 124 concerning the Dogons. Also in Africa, as we have seen, the African Dogon tribe of Mali, it is claimed, say they were visited by extraterrestrials from Sirius. It's a star system. The Dogon appear to descend from a Greek people who themselves claimed descent from the Argonauts. The Dogon settled first in Libya and then further south in Mali, where they interbred with the Negro peoples. Think about that very seriously. They go on to say, Ipet Isut, then why would anyone think that other information that is in your book, Children of the Matrix, is true, to support that David Icke is not correct according to verifiable data? On page 124 of the Children of the Matrix, you state that the Dogon appear to descend from a Greek people who themselves claimed descent from the Argonauts. These are all Europeans, by the way. And we know that Europeans do not go beyond 6,000 years ago, according to their own DNA confirmed studies. The flaw in your book states to the contrary. In support, see Conversations with Ogotomeli, an introduction to Dogon religious ideas by Marcel Groule. In his book, it shows that the Dogon people are African melanin dominant people, not Greeks, inasmuch as the Dogons of Africa predates any of the Greeks. You can get this copy and read to confirm what Ipet Isut is saying here. The next letter, they say, in further support, you can also read The Pale Fox by M. Groule and Dietelen. These are French scholars that had to go to the Dogons to do some researches when they had had some astonishing scientific information from the Dogons. A copy on page 1 of that book shows a real image of the ancient Dogon who predates the Greeks. They are nor anywhere near Greeks. Here is the image. In further support, see here attached page 4 under number 18, which states that before any Greeks, African melanin dominant people predated any Greeks based upon these new scientific studies. Any so-called bloodline people would be a child of African melanin dominant people. Here are the images of the Dogons. If you see any European here, you might need glasses because your cognitive bias is very, very dangerous. So this is the book Egypt Revisited by Ivan van Sertima, page 218 of this book. It states one of the greatest kings of the 12th dynasty was Ka Kepre. He is identified by Benau, the European author, scholar who wrote the Black Antenna, as the African king who is mentioned in the ancient Greek legends as King Kekrops. Kekrops is important in that he was said by the Greeks to be the founder of the Greek city-state of Athens. Right? These are scholars, reputable scholars, who deal with data and information. It is false to state that the Dogon interbred with the Negro people, when it is a fact that the ancient Dogons themselves are the Negro people. The Dogons have always been an African melanin dominant people. It is wrong to use the word Negro people. That is a negative word towards African people. So on page 4, they say here again, Ipet giving evidence. They say that the oldest tools ever found so far have only been found in Africa, dating back to 2.3 million years ago. Current school books and teachers teach to the contrary. In support, see Rutgers University Center for Human Evolutionary Studies. They're writing and giving Ike more evidence, and also all of us. Current biology show that African melanin dominant people were the first people on this planet through mitochondrial DNA genes, and that such studies show that African melanin dominant people are the mothers to all other subgroupings or peoples. The study found that Africans are about twice as diverse as any other group in their genetic makeup, and assuming a constant rate of mutation that appears earlier. In support, the journal Nature of 2000 by Ulf Glisten of the University of Uppsala in Sweden, R.N. Kahn, Stone King, and Wilson. These are the scholars that researched this and wrote such information. That the oldest known observation of religious activity was found in ancient Africa. You can see here the evidence from the Rhino Cave in Botswana produced results that revealed a very special set of behavioral patterns which best fit ritualized behavior. In a place called Sodilo Hills, 75,000 years ago. So we were already here. So those that have got a timeline for 6,000 years or 7,000 years, they cannot fit in this time. They are subgroups of the old and ancient people. It's quite straightforward. This was from Damien et Hop, and here is the website that he gives. Here's this website that he has given there. So why are European scholars fearful of the truth about Kemet or African history? Because Europe's history begins actually in 800 BCE. Why? Because Europe had no writing, and they had no way to preserve their history 6,000 years BCE. It's clear that writing began in ancient Africa. And also, there is proof that there was a civilization almost 2.8 billion years ago in Africa. These cracktops balls or rollers found in South Africa show clear machining. They have been dated by science, and many scientific systems dates them to almost 3 billion years ago, and they were shaped like this by human hands. Some they have come up with very funny ideologies and explanations, say this was nature. It's not nature. Nature cannot do that. These lines were produced by human machines in Africa 3 billion or 2.8 billion years ago, to be specific. So if you go to hieroglyphics, you also find that the true face of people in Egypt carved on rocks and also used in hieroglyphics, and it looks like this. This symbol is the hieroglyph to say face in ancient Hamit. So when you read hieroglyphics and everywhere they want to describe a face, this is the face they put, and it's not a European face, it's a proper true Bantu face. So why are European scholars very fearful of telling the truth concerning ancient African history? Obviously, cognitive bias that comes from jealous of advanced black sacred sciences like astronomy, whereby the Dogons knew about the movement of stars that could only be known using instruments today, very powerful instruments today. So that's quite clear. And also, this is the atom that the Dogons knew and explained, in the movement of electrons. Potolo, Nyantolo, Emeyatolo, Sigtolo. All this has now been renamed by science as electron, proton, nucleus, and also the electron shell. And they knew that, and this is the shape that also describes our universe, or that describes the motions and movements of our astronomical bodies in the heavens. So this is quite clear and straightforward that cognitive bias and scholarly bias creeps in all the other works that we could use to benefit our own knowledge systems. One of Africa's best kept secrets, or the people that founded Egypt, came from the Great Lakes. Here's a proof. These are the hieroglyphics that are found inside the pyramids in the Sudan, South Sudan. You can see that. So clear, straightforward, and yet this is not taught by Egyptologists. They just stop at the first cataract and use the border that they drew in Berlin and say this is Egypt. While when we speak of Kemet, when we speak of Hami, we have Kami in Zimbabwe, we have Kami in the north, which stretches from the Great Lakes right up to the so-called Mediterranean Sea. So we have to be very careful when we use scholastic works. So in conclusion, great praise to our great friends in the trenches, Ipet Isut, whose email is ipetpotolo@gmail.com, for sharing with us a powerful and liberating perspective on scholars, especially European scholars and others who gamble with our history. They are important information that David Icke shared and shares. But on this one, he is not spot on. He's totally showing his bias. Therefore, this is a red light for anyone who depends and relies on David Icke. One of our founding principles as Marifado Hem is that we do not seek out, approve, embrace, or openly teach African mysteries to non-totemized people. If you wish to find out more about the oldest mysteries, you can send us an email on join@marifado.com. Thank you very much. Subscribe to our channel, Hamiti Buru Ethics. This preacher Rabbi Elem Tumizulu saying, till we meet again, Edupe Siabonga Tatenda Enkos.